If you could speak directly to Everton Nation, what are we in store for this season? Honestly, we can handle the truth.
I can't promise you world-class performance every single week. We're not there at the moment, but what I can promise you...
My guest today is one of the great idiosyncratic characters of English football who defined himself as a singular leader, unafraid of taking on a challenge over almost a decade at Burnley Football Club. He's now accepted the task of leading mighty Everton, arriving with the swagger of Patrick Swayze and Roadhouse and the deep-voiced tenor of an English Johnny Cash. But behind that hard-man haircut is a deep-thinking and truly insightful bloke who builds his teams on hard work, mutual respect, shin pads at all times, and the power of believing in each other. Ahead of his first full season at Goodison Park, it's an absolute joy to welcome Mr. Sean Dyche.
Hello, Roger. How are you going?
I'm with you, Sean. I feel bloody magnificent.
Well, you give me some build-up, to be honest. I'm buzzing. I feel great. I'll just have the build-up.
I'm searching with hope myself, Sean. When you took the Everton job last January, bit dark, the team was sitting second from bottom. You said at the time you knew you were in for an 18-game knife fight, but your impact was immediate. You dusted off the old school bleep tests with a cackle as you measured the players' fitness. That first game, then league leaders Arsenal, you slayed them 1-0, courtesy of James Tarkowski's meaty forehead of justice. But as the season progressed, Everton were in and out of that bottom three. It was agonising. But honestly, were the moments when you did the math every week in your office, privately, honestly, internally, where you wondered where the points would come from?
I had the experience at Burnley of most seasons we were pretty well clear, but there was a couple of seasons we weren't, and a lot of tough times, a lot of hard yards. And one season particularly, we got to game 19 and we had 12 points. So I knew that it could be achieved. We got 28 in the second half of the season, so I knew it could be done. I knew it could be achieved. I looked at the group and I thought, well, there's still some quality here. It was a big loss, obviously, with Calvert-Lewin. We know that his history and how important to Everton Football Club he's been over the last few years, so that was a big loss. But the thing is, I never stopped believing in what I do. I never stopped believing in what my staff do, and I never stopped believing in what the players do. So, I try and encourage them that, and there's some testing times, of course. The Fulham game and the Newcastle game were lows where the noise changed. For the first times, I wonder whether Evertonians were like, whoa, hang on, we're in massive trouble, and the noise started to change. And I was really pleased how we handled that. Success is easy to handle, or easier to handle. It's not actually easy to handle, but it's easier to handle. How are you handling failure? How are you handling the tough times? They're the bits that are the real measure, I think, of a manager, a coach, and a player. How are you handling the hard yards?
Of a human being, Sean. Really, that's how you measure them in times of challenge. And on that final day of the season, we're in a situation where 2 of 3 teams, Everton, Leeds United, Leicester City, knew that they would be going down. We're facing Bournemouth at home. A must-win of must-wins that took, honestly, a decade off my life expectancy. Leicester went 1-0 up. Everton plummeted back into the bottom 3, in serious danger of being relegated for the first time since 1951, back when there were just 48 American states and Roy Hodgson was barely 4 years old. Cherry's goalkeeper Mark Travers suddenly turned into Bournemouth Buffon. What were your dominant emotions on the sideline for those first agonising 56 minutes?
We were on the side that was scoring freely, so you don't think that's going to just change overnight. We'd had injuries all over the place. We were missing players. We'd had to change the shape. We had a bit of foresight in that, so we knew early on we were going to have to change shape. So we did a week's planning. The players took it on really well. I think one of my biggest strengths, some people say it can be a weakness, for me it's a strength, is calmness. I know what I'm in. I've been in it all my life. I've been a footballer all my life, been in football industry all my life. It doesn't mean I'm always calm inside, but I try and show calmness outside. If you're going to lead from the right way, so the players are looking, thinking, well, he looks pretty calm to me. He seems to be sticking to what we do. And I'd like to think it rubs off. I've always credited the fans because they were calm in the stadium, and I think that was an amazing thing to witness, looking back, of course, until that moment when Dyche scores a worldie. Before that, Leicester are up, the fans are calm, they weren't making all the noise and all the doom and gloom, they were calm, they were right behind the team. But a lot of things pulled together, and it's important that. When I got here, I said, I think we've got to find a connection with the fans, and it wasn't that it wasn't there, it just diluted. The earthiness, the bond of a team and a club have been stretched to the limit, I felt. So the worst that could happen was, let's get a team that are going to give everything. And I think, barring a couple of games where it went away from us, the one thing was, we had a team that said, come on then, let's take it on.
By the way, I love your approach to life, calm on the outside, as opposed to my approach to life, losing my crap at all times. And then in the 57th minute, Abdoulaye Doucouré, beautiful, beautiful Abdoulaye Doucouré, hit an absolute screamer to give Everton the lead of Leeds. Goodison Park losing its collective mind. And you, Sean Dyche, calmly turn around and take a drink of water. Like a English Carlo Ancelotti. What's going through your mind at that point, really, on the inside?
At the end of the day, I've been in football all my life, and I know how quickly things can change the other way. So it's just not my bag. I don't question others. It's not my bag running up and down the sidelines and jumping into fans and all that, because I've seen how quickly it can change the other way. So 57 minutes, we've got a team that are working hard. It's got a team that's disjointed in the nature of the injuries. We're not a side who were scoring freely from, well, all the last 2 seasons, actually. So certainly not when we took over. So everyone going, well, we're going to have to do the ugly stuff well now, which we did. And the worst part was actually the fourth putting up 10 minutes, and everyone was like, where did you get 10 from?
10 minutes to go. That's been met with a predictable response from Everton fans. You can't take your eyes off this.
The way they pulled that out of the bag, I was like, I have no clue where that's come from.
Say this, Everton now hung on through that excruciating decade of added time, 1-0, staying alive, guaranteeing Premier League football for another beautiful season of wonder. Formula One legend Mario Andretti once said, the crashes people remember, but drivers remember the near misses. How did you process that win, Sean? Was it something that you celebrated at all with a shandy lager, or was it just too painfully a close call?
No, I didn't celebrate in that way. It was a quiet celebration for myself, because I knew the work had only just begun. You know, I knew that, right, we've got this done, but there is so much more needs to change. But I'd be kidding myself if I thought, right, look, we've answered the whole question of Everton Football Club. I don't tend to kid myself. I did enjoy it, don't get me wrong, it maybe not seem like, of course I did. My internal mechanism is enjoying that, I can assure you. And the calmness it brings when you win games anyway, but there's certainly the big games, and that's arguably one of the biggest I've had for different reasons, for bad reasons, but it's still one of the biggest games I've had as a manager. So I think you have to find your own way of dealing with things and find your own way of handling it. And mine was to say, and I said to the players, by the way, and I don't mind saying you because I've said it out loud, I said, don't think it's going to be the same next season, lads, because that's unacceptable from us. So we've got the job done, but that's unacceptable. We should want a lot more as a group than that. So I'd already was laying down the sort of line to go down when we come for pre-season. So, and I said openly to the fans as well, I said, look, don't think it's all done. It's not. You should know that. I know that. And it wasn't because I was being negative. At all. I'm just a realist. You know, positive reality, as I call it.
That was what I was going to ask you about, Sean, because you said recently, I came in here to change your mentality, and there have been signs of that. But now that you've just finished your first full pre-season with this team, 38 fresh new games now lie ahead, and you have used that term, positive realities, which I love, to cover that feeling of pragmatic optimism, of being honest about a team's limitations without being defeated by them. Sean, what are the positive realities that Everton must show right now?
Well, we fought, that's for sure. So a team that when I got here was said they've got no fight in them. Well, we certainly had a fight. So that's not a bad quality to start with when you're an Evertonian and when you're an Everton player. On top of that, I think we've got more quality than we shown last year, but obviously we're all aware that often comes with confidence, and you can only build confidence by playing, training hard, working hard and getting results. Well, that's the biggest thing that builds confidence. Apart from that internal confidence that all footballers have, you have to have that to be a footballer. And layering up on the back of that was, you know, well, you're an Evertonian, so the thing that I was interested in, and still am, what I was intrigued with actually, the outside noise of Everton before I got here, was kind of this concept of, we just want the truth, and then you tell the truth, and then it's like they don't want the truth, and then like, well, which do you want? So
we can't handle the truth, John.
Well, the truth is there for all to see. So I was like, look, there's a reality to Everton Football Club, the current Everton Football Club, by the way, the current situation. It's been there for 2 years now, so I can't change everything overnight. What we're going to try and do is put it on a way stronger footing, a way stronger base to work from, reconnect with the people, the Evertonians, both in the stadium and the distant Evertonians, reconnect in a sense that they know they've got a manager, a staff and a group of players. The minimum they're going to get is everything what he can give. And then on a good day when we play really well, they can enjoy that. And on a tough day, if they could just stay with us and realise the realities of where we're at, then that's going to be very, very helpful.
God, we can handle the truth, Sean. What is the secret to keeping beautiful Dominic Calvert-Lewin fit?
Well, he's worked very hard since his last episode of an injury at the end of last season. He's getting closer now. He's had 245 minutes. The end of his rehab, if you like, is game time. That's the hardest thing to come by. And the reality of that, he's at the very end of that process. So far, so good. But I've been trying to take away the heat off him and go, right, okay, you need to be right and we need to give you time to be right, because obviously he's had 2 years virtually of ups and downs, not with the same injury, but similar style of injuries, muscle injuries and that sort of thing. So we're trying to give him that extra bit of leeway to make sure that he's really, really ready, and he's very close at the moment.
If you could speak directly to Everton Nation, Sean, to the faithful who hang their Fight For Us banners in the Gladys Street end and the toffees scattered across the globe, what would you tell them? What are we in store for this season? Honestly, we can handle the truth. Can you give us any promises?
Well, first of all, I'd say keep giving us what you've got, because they've been terrific since I got it. You don't lose the faith. I can't promise you glory everywhere. I can't promise you world-class performance every single week. We're not there at the moment. But what I can promise you is we'll give you your lot. So all you can do is give it back. And they've been amazing since I've been here. They've been amazing on the road, travelling everywhere. Been amazing in the stadium. And when we've been off it, they've let us know. But that's fine. You go, yeah, we're off it. Miles off it a couple of games. So then I go, yep, okay, we'll take the heat. But equally, there's got to be reality within that. But what I would say, I think we're in a better footing as a side. I'm not naive, neither are you, neither are Evertonians. We know we need more players. We've lost a lot of players. The depth of the squad is not where it needs to be. We know that. But of course, it costs money and it takes time, and it's not an easy window when you've not got bags full of money, to just put into every situation. We're working very, very hard to get players in. But as I said when I got here, often you can overlook what's right in front of you. We've got some very good players here. So the focus remains on them, and then can we add players that are going to push them to even get better and get an inner demand, which is even higher.
Last question for you, Sean. Before the pre-season bleep test started again, you went to Glastonbury, possibly asking yourself how many goals Lewis Capaldi would be good for. If you were asked to get behind the decks for a DJ set at Arcadia, what song are you playing first?
I don't know, something with the old school, like Rui de Silva or something like that. One of that kind of old school, or might even go to like Hallelujah by the Happy Mondays right back then, you know what I mean? At the Splendour Festival in Nottingham, I met Bez and I met Sean Ryde. I was quite chuffed with myself.
Bez may be the answer at right back down the stretch of the season. We've got to get some feelers out. The answer was Spirit of the Blues, remixed by Frankie Knuckles, Sean Dyche. It's been genuinely a pleasure and an honour. I appreciate your honesty. I do raise a glass to you, many, and to all the Everton Football Club. Godspeed.
Cheers, Roger.
Courage.